Hello friends, and welcome to Echoes of the Shore. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much. Echoes of the Shore is my lovely little survival series where I have given myself the goal of fully restoring a lovely little island out in the middle of the ocean back to the way it was in the ancient times. And to do that, I need to go and collect 4 different echoes, which can be rewarded to me by completing little tiny tasks just around the island, just by doing some chores. But they are very difficult for me to get. And my side objective while I'm doing all of that, of course, was to originally catch 50,000 fish. But I have already done that, so now I just will be fishing for the sport of it. That being said, we have officially 3 of the echoes now, so we just have 1 more that we need to get, and that is going to be the one that we can get for doing all of our lovely little sandscaping around, or like our shoreline stuff, right? So that's what we're gonna do in today's video, hopefully, on top of all of our fishing, of course, which is, I'll be honest, the top priority, because I have been in an extremely fishing mood recently. I don't know if you could tell. So, on top of all of our fishing and our sandscaping that we're going to do eventually today, there are still a few little tiny chores that I would like to do around here. I think I wanted to add a few more of these birds, or maybe some other mystical tiny little creatures that I think would be a cute addition. Although I do think I want the main inhabitants of the island to be these little horse claws from Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, one of my favorite movies. So maybe we'll go through, we'll add a few more of them, and that will officially be the island all fully finished. And I cannot believe that it's coming to a close. I've been on this world already for, what, like 3 or 4 months? Just building and tinkering away and placing as much sand and rocks and grass and trees. Oh my goodness. This has certainly been an experience so far, and I have loved every second of it. And I appreciate you all so much for being here through the whole series. It really means the world to me. That being said, though, I'm going to go and jump straight into fishing for, I'm gonna say, a whole 3 days. I've got a lot of fishing that I want to do, but I also have a lot of building, so I do need to limit the amount of fishing that I can do. And what I know this is gonna be a weird thing, but I did originally have plans for recapturing all of the different Skyblock Kingdoms fish, but in this world. And the title was gonna be like, "You called me crazy, so I did it again," or something like that. But I do feel like I need to keep the series separate, so I unfortunately have just resigned to doing regular fishing, which is still extremely lovely and one of my favorite things in the entire world. So, without further ado, it is even raining too. Let us just jump straight into a whole bunch of fishing. 2 seconds. And welcome back from the lovely fishing time lapse. Oh goodness, I left my stuff on the ground. Oopsie. Sorry. Welcome back from the lovely time lapse. This might look a little weird to some of you if you are new here. And that is because I have been on top of my regular fishing, of course. I, for some reason, really wanted to go back and do some more SBK fishing. So I went to my local pale oak biome, and I fished until I caught the legendary there, which is the Istareatu legendary fish by Skylery, of course, part of the Skyblock Kingdoms SMP, and they did so lovely with it. It didn't take me too long as well. I think it was maybe only 2,000 fish or so to catch this one, and less than a day. But I have been fishing in total for, I'll say about 4 days, and I have loved every single second of it. And I think that's probably the last of the fishing that we're going to do for this series, because we have a bunch of other things that we need to get started on now, and I'm really excited for it. Also, goodness gracious, this legendary is so cool. I think I'm just gonna carry this around with me for the whole episode now. They did so good. Oh, also, here's the concept art for it as well that they made. They were able to transition it into pixel art very nicely, I think, from their normal drawing. That being said, we are now good to go home, and we're gonna get started on doing some terraforming. I think that's gonna be our plan for today. We're gonna start placing our sand down. And with that, we now have officially placed every single piece of sand that we needed to complete this little shoreline, except for, of course, this one little patch behind me that you can very clearly see. It's just a little square that's cut out of it. But I did do this on purpose. I wanted to save at least a little piece of the shoreline for the very end of the video when I wanted to get the echo and everything. Not counting this, of course, we now have officially placed every single piece of sand and sandstone and rock and piece of moss on this island that we originally set out to do. And oh my goodness, I'm a moth on the water top, which does mean we are now good to move on to the creature placing, like I'd mentioned before. And by creature placing, I do of course mean these lovely little horse claws over here, which are from a Studio Ghibli movie called Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So that is going to be our plan, hopefully. For right now, we're gonna put a couple more of these lovely little birds around, maybe like, I don't know, 6. I really want this place to be filled up with these. I do really love them, and the reason I'm placing so many of them is because this island, I'm wanting it to be like their natural habitat, right? Like, oh, I've left my bed here. I wanted this entire island to be completely inhabited by fantasy creatures, more specifically the horse claws, but I do have plans for adding some more other creatures as well, not just the horse claws. And I have already gone ahead, I have already gone and done that with my friend Fellowfoot. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with the game called The Wandering Village, but inside of the game, there are these lovely little creatures called the Onbu, or the Onbu. It's something like that, and they are just these cute, like, ginormous dinosaur creatures that can have some villages on the back, and they are typically humongous, right? So, like, maybe 3 times the size of this entire island. So we made little baby versions of that. And they are so cute. I love them so much. So thank you to Fallowfoot again for always being helpful with building projects on this world. So this one here is by Fallowfoot. Look at these little toes. Look at these grippers. And then we have an even babier version of an Onbu over here, which was by me. And it doesn't really translate well into looking like an Onbu, but I did do my best here. They actually kind of look like the fox squirrels from Ghibli, so I guess something happened here and I did something wrong. But I did my best. And the Onbu are these 6-legged little dinosaur creatures with big, like, land pieces on their backs. So that's why this one's got, like, a big rock. So that's our plan for this island. We're going to go through and we're going to add as many little fantastical little creatures around as we possibly can. And I did originally have plans for having a big old fish inside of the middle of the pond here, because believe it or not, this pond is actually called the Fish Monster Pond. Now, maybe after we're done with all the creatures, we can go through and add a fish right in the middle here, perhaps, or something like that. But I'm not really sure. I'm gonna give myself a few days here to try and come up with some little creatures, and we're gonna place a whole bunch of horse claws. And 2 seconds. And welcome back from the big old time lapse of a whole bunch of different things. I don't even remember what we did. This has been a bit more than just a couple days. This has been, what, 3 days now? 3 days of building just a bunch of random organic structures and stuff all over the island, which has been very lovely. So you probably could see it from the time lapse, but we did go and we added a bunch more of the lovely little horse claws all around the island, like we mentioned before. However, we did also add 3 new creature types to the island on top of as well the ombus that we added from with Fallowfoot and everything. So we've got now a total of 5 different creatures on this island, starting of course with the lovely horse claws and their babies, which I call a bobby. That I don't remember where that came from. Did Pi Pi say that on her stream? I think she said something about it looks like a bobby or something. I don't know. But we got Bobby here, and we got all the other horse claws. And then, also, this has been a very organic week for me in terms of, like, building. I mean, I do build a lot of organic things anyway, but this one has been especially eventful in terms of the new creatures. And while we're on the topic of the new creatures, my goodness, have we added a bunch of them. And I'm curious, how many universes do you think we can smush into this one? Because I swear I've added like 7 different movie creatures into this world, or things from other series that I haven't disclaimed as being in this universe. For example, the horse claws, of course. These are from a Studio Ghibli movie. And then over here we have the very first organic that I added that wasn't the bird, a lovely little sea turtle. I almost said a seahorse. This is not a seahorse. This is clearly a sea turtle. The only thing about this one, though, is it was the first one that I made this week, and it also took a very long time. Unfortunately, I did not use a reference for this because I did not mean for it to be a turtle at first. So when I first started placing these blocks, I originally was going for a beetle. But I could not get the shapes. Right. I really wanted to build just a little bug. But I did end up settling on a lovely little sea turtle, which makes way more sense for being next to the water. Although I'm sure there are some beetles that live next to the water. I definitely feel like the aquatic creatures are more suited to this area, I believe. Which now moves us on to the second creature that we made, other than sea turtle. We made a lovely little, I guess it's like a Loch Ness monster of the sorts or something. It's from a game called Dark Cloud 2, and they're called the Shigura. They're just these tall little guys that are in the Venicchio area that you can find after doing some missions and stuff. And I thought they were very lovely, and I did grow up watching them quite a bit in the game, especially Shingala, which is the one that we've got over here, which is what they're based off of. So the type of species is called the Shigura, right? But the name is called Shingala. So that's very cute. So we've got 2 of these little guys just parked over here. And then the very last organic that we made was a lovely little mossy little dugong, which was recommended to me by Pi Pi Samurai. I certainly have never built anything like this before, and I did not know where to start when it came to building stuff like this. But this is about the point where I learned that the organics are much easier to build when doing it on like diagonals and stuff. Because this whole time I've been making these little birds and the Shigura and the little sea turtles and everything. They've all been like on like one plane, right? Or like they've been like very, very forward. I don't know how to say that properly. But this little dugong, I built him on a diagonal, and it felt much easier. And the face was very cute as well. So their recommendation was to build a mossy dugong / manatee, and I definitely think this might be that. This may be close to it, I'm sure. Now, I don't know if that was a type of species of dugong, but my brain went more like a fantasy route with this. So that's what we made. A little dugong that was born with a bunch of moss as hair or something. It does very fit the theme as well of, like, since we've got the ombu over here as well and everything. And I did originally also have this built out of stone, because for some reason all the manatees and all the dugongs and all the Sirenian, I think. I don't remember. It's like the Serenian family or something. The sea cows. I tried building out of stone first, because every time I googled a picture of them, they were all gray. I definitely didn't like it, because no matter what I did, it made it look like a statue, and that is not what they are. They are alive, and they have they are slightly fluffy. So I definitely liked that the using the oak logs made it look like there's like a bit of a shagginess to them, as well as of course the grass. I really am proud of this. Here, let's do a little fly around. Yeah, there we go. They're so good. Yeah, definitely building diagonals is gonna be much easier from now on. This is actually, the shape of the body was my first try on a diagonal. After going through like 4 or 5 revisions of the single axis locked mode, which was awful. It was awful. I also did have banners at some point. I tried using banners for the eyes. But I did eventually just settle on buttons. It gives a very derpy look, which is perfect because these dugongs look very silly, but they are also very beautiful. I do love some little sea cows. So thank you, Pai, for the lovely recommendation for the little creatures, and thank you everybody else for watching me make these weird little things. This is great. Also, it's probably very obvious that I've been watching a lot of a series recently called Skyblock Kingdoms, of course, which is where we got all those different fish and everything from. There's just something about the community and the creators there that I have been very much in love with. So I've been binging quite a bit of the creators there and watching pretty much every live stream. So this has been great while I've been doing my fishing and everything. Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention I didn't even show my fishing statistics yet for the series, since I'm not gonna be doing any more, unfortunately. Well, unless it starts raining right now. Okay, so after what, 3 months, 3.5 months, 4 months maybe, we have managed to collect a total of 63,195 fish, which is pretty good to me. Although I definitely think I could have doubled that. I could have probably even tripled that if I was very much wanting to. But there has been a lot of life changes with this series in the background. So some things have been going on that have been preventing me from playing as much, which is why sometimes there's 2 weeks between the videos, which is still okay for me. Like I'm okay with waiting 2 weeks for a video, and it certainly helps me increase the production quality of them as well. However, 1 week definitely is my preferred, so I am still going to be trying my very best to get a video out every week or so, except for this one. This one clearly is going to be 2 weeks. Whoopsie. In fact, this video goes up in 2 days from now. Well, with that being said, that is all of the organics that we made, which moves us on to a couple other things that I did on the in-between, which I definitely think I want to mention. So the first one being, there's this island right here that has been bothering me since I moved here, and I tore all the trees down from it. Now, I don't know if this is something I want to clean up, but I definitely don't think I have any more time for bigger projects. So unfortunately, I think I am just gonna leave it not like this. Maybe I'll cut the trees. I'll finish the trees. I definitely think I'm gonna leave it how it is for the most part. Maybe for the world download, I will clear the top layer for it so that it's partially underwater. It's a little easier to look at. But yeah, I don't know why I haven't done this before. This used to be my tree cutting island, so I'd plant all the different saplings here just so that I didn't have to go to the biomes where I needed the trees. So for example, the dark oak or the jungle and everything. So it was very helpful, but goodness, did it get in the way of me trying to make thumbnails. I felt like the best view was always right here, but I had to switch it to a different side, like over there, which I guess it was helpful for the most part, right? It makes you switch up your main focus point of the island, right? So this originally right here was my preferred like thumbnail place where I wanted to take pictures. Yeah, there was always trees in the way, and I like to have it zoomed in. In an ideal situation, this island would turn out to be just as pretty as this one. However, we have certainly done more than enough progress for this island. I haven't been anywhere. I don't get out anymore except for to gather resources, and then I just come straight back here. This definitely is the longest I've spent in one location, because my fishcraft world was very spread out as well, so I was able to go to many different biomes and visit many different places. But this one, I just was on the island, which was great. This is beautiful. Like I genuinely I find comfort in familiarity, so this is perfect. I just don't have time for another island. That's all, because I've got new series stuff coming, which is very exciting. And this lovely little island right here was not the only thing I adjusted, because I made 2 more cliffs on accident. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I recently have learned how to make proper cliffs, or at least cliffs that feel a little bit better to me, I suppose. And the answer was right in front of me the entire time, and I don't know how this happened, but I learned to make cliffs from doing my little sandy drop-offs underwater. So if I take a look underneath the water here, and I look at the way that I did the drooping to have it like drop off so that it connects easier to the ocean floor. If I use this as a template, this literally is a cliff. Like, this is a cliff face, and it looks good. It looks really good to me. So I find it really funny that I've been making cliffs on accident, and I've been struggling to make cliffs outside the water. I think I just needed to have a change of mindset here with this. It's so weird. So I did take this as a design, and I've used it over here. So this right here is basically just my water drop off template. Like, this is how I build my sandy bits that go and connect to the ocean floor. So I think it looks lovely. We've got this bit here which does that. I've also gone over this direction and done it as well. So now we've got an added bit of little cliff face over on this side as well, where all of this moss and everything is. And I did only do this originally because from this angle in particular, it was all very, very, very stone. It was lots of gray, and there wasn't much green or anything to look at on this side, so I did want to add this little pinch of little overhang, and I just added a tiny cliff underneath of it as well. And then I got, unfortunately, a little carried away, and I needed a better place to put one of the Shigura, so I made them a cliff as well. I made them a cliff too. So now we've got 2 new cliffs added to the island, and we're still waiting to finish the sand and stuff. But this right here, this is the second cliff, and I definitely I'm so proud, and I'm so happy with it. Here, let's go out of the water for this. And ta-da! There it is. So this is our little Shigura cliff. I think it looks lovely, and it is exactly a copy of my underwater sandy connected stuff, and it's so crazy how I literally just needed to look at it as if it was a separate structure instead of a cliff. So if I guess I just needed to think of it as my little sandscape, and it feels much easier, or at least for these types of cliffs. I know there's lots of different cliff types, but for the ones that I enjoy building, which are the ones with big grassy overhangs and like very sheer, gradually going backwards like drop-offs, this works perfect. And I definitely am going to be abusing this in the future for sure. Well, I guess not for sure. For mountains, not for shorelines. This has been definitely a very productive many days already so far for this. And this has been so lovely, and I really want to keep on building, but unfortunately, I think it's time. I think we've got some sand that we need to start placing. So without further ado, let us just jump straight into placing the very last bits of sand and getting our very last echo for this lovely island, and then finally it will be back to how it should be. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's just jump straight into it. Here we go. This is the very last couple of blocks before it is fully finished. I think we've just got two little spots left in these little corners over here. So here we go. Oh my goodness. All right, so we've got 1 block over here, and where's it at? Oh, we've got a bunch of blocks actually. Goodness, I missed a lot of different spaces over here. Whoopsie. Where we go? Okay, here it is. And ta-da! There we go. There is our lovely little island in its full complete form. Wow, we finally did it. Gosh, this took forever. Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. I am very happy that I finally was able to actually connect the structure to the ocean floor. I'll be honest, I didn't think I was gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do it. I think I only did it because fallow. But it looks fantastic, and I'm so glad I did this finally. Oh my gosh, this island has been such a difficult thing to work on. Uh-oh, I've missed more over here. No! No, the false start, the false finish every time. It's okay. There's bound to be at least 1 million of these little spots that I wasn't able to connect properly, but that is totally fine because I'm gonna say this is good. This is it. Well, maybe I could go through with some polish on this, or does it need any polish actually? I think this looks good. Well, maybe this spot right here looks a bit too jagged. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. Is there anything else I need to do here? I think that's it. I think I've fully 100% finished this island. Oh my goodness. Oh well, let's take a little look around. Goodness, this has been so lovely. Oh my gosh, wait, our last echo. I completely forgot. Oh, okay. Well, I imagine it's probably just gonna be this little piece of sand right here in my inventory, or this piece of sandstone rather. That was the goal after all, was for it to be a piece of sand or something, because you know all the terraforming and everything, which means we now have all 4 of them. Oh my gosh. We just need to go put it in its little pillar spot inside of our cave that we made for it, which is right here. So I made a couple episodes ago. Was it last episode? I don't remember when. But a while ago, I made these 4 trees inside of this area here, specifically to hold all of the different echoes that we've got. So we've got the heart of the sea, which is the one that I got for the lake. We've got the diamond ore, which is the one that we got for completing the mountain and all of the corresponding texturing as well. And then we had, well, what was the other one? It was for trees, wasn't it? There it is, the rooted breath, the one for trees. That being said, here is our very last echo put into its rightful place. And ta-da! There we go. That is officially all 4 of the echoes that we needed to fully restore this island's lost song. Oh my gosh. And to think this is exactly what it looked like 4,000 years ago. Alright, well, let's take one final look at it from the outside. Oh, this place turned out so good. I'll be honest, I had no real vision of this place when I first started, so a lot of this was just was me making up some cool stuff that I wanted to build as I went. And it was really important for me for this series to try and stick to a more coherent theme, because I know in my last series, Fishcraft, I had some problems with things looking a bit too different from one another, which overall made me not like the area as much, since it was such a clash of different themes. But this one is much better. It is very naturey and tree filled, and we've got all these cute little creatures, and I loved it so much. This really has been probably my favorite series I have ever made, just because of all of the amount of organic structures that I've made and how much I've learned from it. Oh my gosh. That being said, I think we have done it. We finally we finally finished it. I know I keep saying that. It just doesn't feel like it. I think my job here is it's pretty much done. I've done. Oh, I do have one last thing I need to do. I have all my friends. So I think maybe my main reason for building this, while it is good to have restored it back to the way it was in the past, I wonder why was it all broken in the first place? I wonder what happened there. Like how could something so majestic turn into something so small and ugly like something like this? These things are beyond me, but I think what I want to do is have this island be inhabited by all my friends while I'm gone, because I've got many other islands that I need to terraform and places I need to go, things I need to see. So I think I will leave my island here to all of my friends and all of the ones that we made along the way. And with that, I have just about, unfortunately, run out of time for today's episode. So I thank you all so very much for watching this episode of Echoes of the Shore. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Bye bye.